Richard Dawkins, it's a great honor to have you on our program. I wanted to tell you first that your name is the most Googled name in Iran. They did a search and saw that it was actually your name that came up. And it shows just what a large following you have in Iran and in the Middle East and North Africa. I've come across countless ex-Muslims, and the first thing they often say is, I became an atheist as a result of the God Delusion. Tell us a bit about that book, and I mean, it's had huge effects.
Well, I'm astonished by what you say, and delighted if that's really true about the most Googled name in Iran. I'm not even sure. Is it even translated into Persian? Is it the God Delusion?
I think actually a lot of your work and videos are translated into Persian by
Yes.
people who are fans.
Yes, so it's not an official publication. Well, I'm delighted. I mean, the more access people have to it, the better. I'm extremely pleased about that, and delighted if it's true that my books are read in Iran. So that makes me feel very good. Thank you.
I mean, for those who haven't had a chance to read The God Delusion, tell us a bit about some of the main arguments you make in that book.
Oh, it's a whole long book. I'm not sure I can possibly summarize. I mean, I suppose the central argument is that there is absolutely no scientific reason to believe in any kind of supernatural creator. I think it's an interesting scientific hypothesis that there is a supernatural creator. It is a scientific hypothesis, and it's false. And people who think that there is a good scientific reason to believe in a supernatural creator are wrong. They simply need to look at the evidence. In many cases, they simply haven't looked at the evidence. Many people, for example, are persuaded by the apparently designed nature of the living world. And you've only got to understand Darwinism to know that that's nonsense. That, I suppose, is the central argument. But then in the second half of the book, it goes into the evils that religion perpetrates. And evils on children, warfare, all sorts of things like that.
I mean, I think especially for people who live in Iran or under Islamic rule, those are quite clear, and in a sense that's why we're seeing a rise of atheism, particularly via social media. I mean, do you have contact with people from the Middle East and North Africa via social media?
Not very much, no. I mean, I would like to have more. So I don't have very much contact, no.
What about, you've got a foundation for reason and science. What are the aims of that foundation?
Well, Reason and Science sort of sums it up. And there are two foundations, one in Britain and one in America. And partly what we do is simply support other organizations. Like, for example, my British foundation supports your ex-Muslim organization. The American one does a lot of different things, but among other things, what it does is to try to help ex-Muslims in America to get together and to recognize each other's existence and to gain confidence from each other's existence.
Do you worry about the role that religion is playing now in the public space, particularly when you look at Islam and the political Islamic movement?
Yes, very much so. I think that it's an extremely pernicious thing that people believe that because they have faith in something that somehow justifies it. I mean, the only justifiable reason to believe in something is evidence. There is no other reason to believe in something other than evidence, broadly understood. And as long as people in the world think that a holy book or a priest or an imam or a faith tradition is a reason to believe something, and that's a sufficient reason to believe something, then extremists among them are going to be killing for that belief, and that's exactly what we're seeing.
You have some interesting perspectives on faith schools and Islamic schools. Well, obviously in Iran all schools are Islamic, but the whole, the fact that they are tantamount to child abuse.
Well, I think that indoctrinating children with false beliefs is, especially if they are distressing beliefs, like a belief in hell. I think that that teaching children that they're going to burn in hell forever if they do bad things is child abuse. I think that labeling children as either Christian children, Catholic children, Protestant children, or Muslim children is child abuse. And I raise consciousness of this by saying you would never dream of talking about a monetarist child or a Hayekian child or a Marxist child or a existentialist child or a postmodernist child. Nobody ever does that. But we do talk about Muslim children and Christian children. Why? There's absolutely no justification for that. And that, I think, is a form of child abuse. Tying a label around a child's neck when the child is too young to know what it thinks.
I mean, what do you think are the best ways to lessen religion's role in the public space? I mean, particularly when it comes to the state, the law, the educational system.
Education, where education is not indoctrination, but teaching people to think for themselves, to think critically, to doubt, to question, to look for evidence. That, I think, is the best, possibly the only way.
And as a final question, I mean, in a sense, your coming out project, where you encourage atheists to come out, particularly in places where they are facing pressure. Because we've also seen how wonderful it feels when you do actually find that you're not on your own.
It is a great sense of liberation, and it's something that my foundation is actively involved in encouraging. It's a bit different in parts of the Islamic world where coming out can actually be dangerous, and so people need to be actually brave to come out. And I think the remedy there is to try to get enough of them to do it, because if sufficiently large critical mass come out, then the tyrannical authorities who might threaten their life will find it much harder to do so.